the show. Jace Ryan, Jace, big All Blacks team naming. It's a hell of a day for you all. I suppose when we look at what this team looks like, it might not be as much the people who are in or out, but the structure of the team, the ratios of positions that are really interesting. 6 midfielders, only 5 loose forwards. What's the process to getting to that point where you figure out how many in each position and how that works together within a squad?
Yeah, I think it's really the balance of combinations we want to play. So if you look at the loose forwards and what that exactly is, we know that we've got 2 locks and that can play 6 as well. So and also the luxury, I guess, of being in a home series where you can call upon guys at any stage.
Mate, we've had a lot of discussion in and around the loose forward trio, and you obviously been in and around that forward environment with the selection process around that. With your 6, 7 and 8, I guess for us and the viewers, we'd just love to know what your selection criteria looks like for each position. So your 6, what are you looking for from your 6? What are you wanting from your 7? And I guess what are you wanting from your 8?
The 6 in Test rugby is first and foremost the quite a good importance of having a line out forward, and that's where we see Samipeni Finau as quite exceptional in that space to win ball against big, tall oppositions. He also played extremely well for us in the Northern Tour. He sort of built that part of the back end and prepared extremely well. The French week, he was outstanding, but he got knocked out, obviously, in the first game. So we've showed a bit of faith in him, and we know that we've got to do a little bit of work on him. I think the balance of the 7s and 8s is that dynamic of power and acceleration. And, you know, we know what Wallace can do at the line with his active feet and denting the line, and whether or not that's him or Ardie. And we've seen how good Ardie is, the link man and over the ball in Super Rugby. And Duplessis, obviously, has been exceptional in that space. So we believe all of that mix complements each other really well as Luke Jacobson, who's experienced in all 3 and tough.
So Ardie Savea, he is obviously a person who's played a lot of 7, but has played a lot of 8 in the last couple of years. When you talk about Samipeni and Wallace, are we likely maybe to see some more of him at 7 this year in comparison to previous years at Test footy?
Oh, potentially. I think, look, you know, it's no secret how outstanding he was at 7 this year, Form 1. And again, you know, like, it's a credit to him how he's played so well in that position. So in all honesty, we've got no problems in that combination at all.
One of the hard, I suppose, calls for you guys after watching the Super Rugby final must have been Ethan Blackadder. I mean, he's a guy who spends so much time with all of you, whether it's in the Crusaders or All Blacks environment. How difficult is it when you've got to make a call on a guy like that, when you've only got 5 loose forwards available to be picked, and you see the form he's in and you know him, picking up the phone and having that conversation?
You've got to really trust the work you've done through a whole campaign, not just 1 or 2 games. And we believe that the consistency that the loose forwards that we've shown, that we've selected in the whole of Super Rugby has been great. Especially when, you know, probably a little bit younger as Test players like Samipeni Finau. So he's built his season. He's had a couple where he hasn't been as accurate as he could have been, and we'll have those conversations where needed. But you can't be influenced by 1 game or 2 games. It's you know, that's why we do the work and put it in together. But in saying that, we still like seeing him under pressure. And yeah, it's a tough call on Ethan. We've got no doubt that he'll get an opportunity potentially down the line somewhere.
As a forward pack, and I know you as a person that continually wants to keep getting better with your group, what's the areas that you've prioritised post that 2024 season that you think this forward pack needs to be able to grow? And I guess you guys have talked about speed and power. What does that kind of look like for you for the improvement areas for this year?
Across the board, I think our forward pack is in quite an exciting space around. We've got genuine ball-carrying props. And I think that's a real point of difference that we probably showed glimpses of last year with bringing Pasileo off the bench. He did a really good role for us. We know what Tamati can do with the ball in hand. I think the bigger picture and complementing the structure of our set piece to complement the whole of our game is just being a little bit more accurate when it's tight and finishing games. But, you know, we've got a little bit more experience at hooker now with Sonny back, and, you know, we took in, you know, that's probably an interesting discussion point around the hooker dynamic. You know, George Belly got an opportunity last year when Sonny was injured, and Brody gets a bit of an opportunity this year when Asafo was injured. So you got to have a bit of depth there ready to go, because one big part of our selection model this year was making sure that we challenge ourselves in our own area, being 4 or 5 deep. And things can happen so quickly. We use a number of players. We saw that last year. So that's important that we cover all of that stuff off,
So this is an important year in that way, that you have got to start building what will be at the World Cup. Some of the selections this year will really be about testing players out to see whether they're in that position to be there in 3 years' time.
Yeah, you do. And I was part of the conversation not so long ago when we were having conversations about Tamati Williams and Fletcher Newell. Now they're established test players now, and both have been to a World Cup. Felt a bit of pain in that. And someone like Ollie Norris, who is a younger prop, a dynamic ball carrier, accurate defensively both sides of the ball, and we get to have a look at his craft against the French team. So you've got to have the big picture in mind, I guess, but also be brave and courageous in our decisions and give guys an opportunity if they've been consistent, and Ollie has as well. So that sort of gives you, well, I'm hoping, a little bit of a broad understanding of our thinking.
Now, look, there's been a lot of questions here, Jace, with the forwards. So for myself being a back, we're just going to move over to the back side of this conversation. You've selected 6 midfielders, Anton Leonard-Brown being injured at the time, so you've got 5 that are there with debutants, with, I guess, Tavatava Nawai being in there, being selected from the Highlanders, and Quintapai coming back into the fold. With so many midfielders being in that selection process and only 4 outside backs, are you guys seeing that kind of midfielder role, that 1 or 2 of them might have to cover that wing role? Rico Ioane or Jimmy being the option to do that with, I guess, a light outside back selected?
Well, look, it's no secret that, a lot of the midfielders that we've picked have got, again, they can play on the wing, they can play different positions. We've seen with Jim, the Highlanders this year, where he was into the midfield and then on the wing, and look how it really put his name in the picture. And you just got to have it. You first of all, you got to be a specialist in your own role. But if players have got the ability to play there, well, it's always an option. So it becomes front of mind for selection. It's no different to a loose head prop who can play tight head. It adds to their selection criteria. But first and foremost, we've got to pick the best team for what we think is in the best positions to win a test match, e.g. France and Dunedin in 12 days.
When we looked at that midfield set and David Havili wasn't there, does this go back to what you were saying before, is you need to have a look? You probably know enough about Havili.
So it's a tough one on Davey, and it's a tough one on any All Black that misses selection, like Bolton as well, but you got to have 2 parts to being a rugby coach and having personal conversations and professional conversations. And Davey built off probably the last part of his season again. Couple of games were outstanding. He led the Crusaders to victory, but it is a chance for us to have a look at some other players. And Quintapai has come back from injury and a bit of resilience, and he's earned his spot. So it's healthy, and we know we can't pick everyone, and you got to make big decisions, hard decisions, because it's the All Blacks.
With Quintapai coming back into the squad, and I think with Jimmy being rewarded with his form with the Highlanders, what in particular did you see with those 2 boys that maybe David Havili didn't do, and you want to be able to have a look with these 2 guys that have come back into the squad, more so Quinn and I guess Jimmy, get an opportunity in the All Blacks for the first time?
Yeah, I think you got to be careful when you start comparing what you saw and what you didn't. But I know that both all of those midfields are capable of a skill set of carrying hard off 10 and putting their wingers away or their outsides away. So it's in all honesty, it's a little bit of both. But we saw the influence that Jim had in the Highlanders, and especially over the ball, and a little bit of a point of difference and power. So that's what we see at him, and why he's been selected. No different to the likes of Dipsy Griffey, what an outstanding story that is. I think it's a perfect example of someone who's showed absolute desire to be an All Black. It hasn't been easy for him. 2020, I think he first came in. and then he hasn't been in, and we saw him on the back of the year, but he's shown that he really genuinely wants to be an All Black. He could have gone overseas. He hung it out, and he's had leadership roles with the Lions and the Hurricanes. It's brought the best out of him, and he's really flourished. And now he's really ready. And sometimes, when you don't get what you want, you get what you need. And I think he's a great example of someone who's like, you talk to him, all he's ever wanted is to be an All Black. And he's done well. So I just drifted straight out of the midfield, Bryn. Sorry about that.
Mate, it's okay, mate. I've asked you too many questions around the backs, mate. We should have bought more around the forwards.
Did you lose an arm wrestle with the backs guys, mate? Losing a loose forward and then getting an extra midfielder? Is that what it came down to?
Well, look, it's just no secret we've got sort of Bryn Evans in now, so we've got another voice for the forwards. But, Ray's pretty good too, because he's obviously an ex-loose forward. So our conversations are healthy and robust, and when we've got to, it's all professional convos when you talk about selecting an All Black team and what the balance is, but we've got no doubts that we've picked a good side that's ready to have a crack at France.
Well, just on that, Jace, I think just to probably get this question in before you head off, the French side that is coming, you guys, no doubt, you guys have done a lot of preview around whoever's coming down under to be able to play against you guys in this 3 Test match series. What can we expect from this French team? Are we going to get the same kind of French team that we saw in the Six Nations, or do you think it's going to be a little bit different, or kind of they're going to have a little bit of a mixture of youth and experience, and it's a very dangerous team that's coming to New Zealand for this 3 Test match series?
Every French team is a dangerous team, Bryn, and they will have a crack from everywhere. And I think what's important for us is when we get the boys in on Wednesday is we put more time into ourselves. We've got to get this All Black team connected. We've got to get aligned and get our leadership group humming and bring everyone together, because everyone comes out of their own franchises, I guess, and when they're together, we've effectively got 9 days and then we're playing. So a big part of, although we will look at the French, and we've studied them hard, definitely, and we know that they will bring a team that will be ready to win it and will get into us, and we haven't beaten them for a while, so that's sitting with us a little bit, but we've got to put a lot of time into ourselves and our own game and get ourselves right, get our rhythm really early in the season. It's a big calendar. We've got all the big test teams again, and how good we need it.
Is that prep more about what you've seen from Galtier and his side, as opposed to going into the top 14 and finding these 10 uncapped guys, or those kind of things?
I keep a really close eye on the top 14 this year, and a little bit of Europe. You have to understand some cues and bits and pieces that you can look for in different players and be ready. So look, no doubt they'll be doing their homework in Super Rugby as well, but. The test, whatever team they put out will be a team that's competitive, unpredictable, and got some flair. And that's the exciting thing about playing France. But nothing prepares the boys for the first 20 minutes of a test match of the year. It's not always smooth. It's usually often messy, and I think we saw that a little bit. Ross, with the Super Rugby this year, didn't we? Like, it started out of the blocks and it was fast and it was sunny, and then the season changes. The game effectively does slow down a bit, but the collision areas go right up. And that final series, I think you saw that. You saw the absolute critical component of scrum penalties. There's 34 scrum penalties in the last 3 games of the final series, and all the teams that came out on the right side of that won each week. So the fundamentals of the game is still there, and that will be good for our boys to experience that sort of intensity that's required. And finals, there's always something at the other end of it. Round robin, you're just trying to get win games, aren't you? But the finals is something on the line, so that's where the dynamic changes and sets the boys up. I'm pretty sure for a test season.
Jason Ryan loves the scrum penalty.
I threw out a bit of an Einstein stat there, didn't I? But it is true, like it does shift the momentum in games, and probably week 1, week 2 it was play on, ball out, but that's certainly changed in the last few rounds.
So Chipper would have loved that stat.
Yeah, you would have.
Hey, Jace, thanks so much for your time, mate. Really appreciate it. All the best for next week.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Good to chat, and appreciate your support.